hate when guys think that just because you're a pretty girl, you have a million options and a million people in your DMs, or you have a huge roster. Like my brother in Christ, my phone is literally drier than the Sahara Desert. The only people that are texting me are literally like my best friends and my family. That is it.
We don't have a male loneliness epidemic. We have a male apathy epidemic. I recently went on vacation with my family, and on this vacation, my sister and I went for a short hike, and on our way back, we were approached by two dogs, snarling, growling, barking, clearly aggressive. We start making noise, screaming, yelling, carrying on, trying to draw attention. While this is happening, I glance to my left, and I realize there's a man standing on his porch. So I start looking to this man, hoping that he might step in.
Well, there you have it, folks. Finally, a real-life experiment that proves once and for all they definitely would not choose the bear.
And somehow this is the man's problem that you got a dog on your behind.
So this question is for the men.
Present.
Let's say a woman sleeps with 100 men.
Gross.
You call her a whatever you want to say.
Maybe on the internet. In real life, we just stop responding.
A woman sleeps with her man 100 times. She's loyal, she's wifey, she's whatever you weirdos want to say. What is the difference?
One of them is a
I don't know, like, are y'all just that stupid? I don't know, I want to hear it from like a dumbass standpoint.
Oh, well, from a dumbass standpoint, being a makes you disgusting, but
This reminds me of some of the women on there that are like, oh man, I really want to hear from a man. And then when men give their genuine, honest opinion, she's like, well, what about this? What about that? Then you respond to her and say, are you here to argue? Or are you here to really learn about men? Most modern women don't care what a man thinks. They don't care what a man wants. They just want that man to cater to them and pay them.
you already know we feel that way. That's why you made your video.
I don't know, I want to hear it from like a dumbass standpoint.
So let me give you less of a dumbass answer. When someone doesn't like something, that's the end of the conversation. I don't know who told you that you're in charge of my feelings, but it physically doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't have room for that. These are drawings of boundaries. I draw this over and over. This was the first one I ever made. The yellow is a public space that they both are in. That's a bar. And so it's okay for the guy to start talking to the girl. But then when she says, no, don't do that anymore, she's exerting a new boundary. And if he continues to do it, that's a boundary violation. So what you are doing when you tell me what should be in my feelings is... Hang on, I have to make a new one. There you go. You're thought policing. You're taking your perceptions and feelings on the inside and telling me that they should also be mine, and you don't get to do that. So you can tell people not to do bad things to you, like for example, don't play music when I'm trying to sleep, but you cannot take your feelings and say, stop liking music. You are not the police of how I feel. So
And I'll even add on to that. Women have started to say, stop playing the music. Okay, fine. I'm gonna move to a different spot. These modern women are coming over to the man's spot and saying, I told you stop playing that music. Get out of my house. I can play music in my space. No, because it's offending me and I can hear it. No, you can't. I'm in my house. Why are you in my house? You're trespassing. You gonna call the police on me? What kind of man does that? It's giving sassy. Shut up.
Oh, I'm not saying that boys are in charge and we make the way things are. What I'm saying is God is in charge. We all like what we like and don't like what we don't like, and we have to deal with the way things are. So you can't just tell men you have to like promiscuous women. It just doesn't work that way. Let me show you why. Imagine that you go outside and you go for a walk and you see that somebody did not clean up after their dog. So they felt like not cleaning up on the inside, and then they put that into the space that you share. How do you feel about that? Do you like it? Probably not. Can you change it? Can you just go, oh great, I'm gonna rub this in my eyes? Of course not. That's just how you feel. Now what if I made a TikTok nagging you about it? This question is for the people who don't like dog shit. Okay, let's say I walk my dog and I pick it up and throw it away. You say that's a good thing. Now let's say I bring my dog to your house and he on your pillow. Suddenly that's a bad thing? What is the difference? So you see, I'm thought policing you. There's something I want you to like, and I'm telling you, you should like what I tell you to like. Did it work? Man, I sure hope not. In fact, it probably made you like me even less. Because if I want to put something bad in your life and you don't want it, then you will not like me. This is an exercise I created called the association triangle. It shows how people create feelings in general, and what you just said to us is that if you want to sleep with 100 guys, and then another guy likes you after that, then you want him to be okay with this. But we're not okay with it. Men really hate this. In fact, most of us are gonna hate this more than we like you. So instead of feeling good about your choices, we're going to feel bad about you. Because you just said, hey, here's something that you hate. Let me rub it in your eyes. I know you wanted the dumbass answer. Sorry about the smart answer. I hope you didn't hate it too much because it's just gonna get less dumb. Even though the answer I just gave you was good enough, that what other people like is none of your business, I'm also gonna tell you.
Modern women are sitting up in men's face telling them what they should and shouldn't like. They go out there. They actually know that what they're doing is not right. They just think because their words. Here's where the disconnect is coming in. Modern women get out there, they listen to their friends, they listen to society, and then they go do what the trend is. Think about the T app. Thinking about, are we dating the same man? They jump in there. Oh, I'm signing up. Oh man, it's the fastest growing app right now in the Apple in the App Store or whatever it is. Who cares? Who cares? Y'all are just jumping on it because somebody else is doing. Oh, I want Lululemon. Why? There's plenty of other stuff out there that'll do just fine. But because your friend has it, now you want it. And I understand that men and women jump on trends. That's fair to say. What I am saying is, because women are more social a lot of times than men, then they're more than likely going to jump on something that they have no business jumping on. And so now what you're doing is jumping on a trend that says, go be with who you want, go mess around with who you want. And then after you've done that, men have told you, no thanks. Now you're like, oh, what's the difference between me being with this guy for 100 times versus the difference being with 100 men one time? I mean, you already know the answer to that. You do. You understand that multiple entries is worse than a clean one. Like, imagine if you start trying to unscrew something with the wrong screw and then pick another one and then another one and then another one. At some point in time, you're going to mess up that screw. At some point in time, you say, hey, you're going to strip that screw. You're going to mess it up. You need to get the right fit. What you're saying is, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do it how I want to do it. And essentially what you're trying to do now, after that screw is stripped, trying to get an impact drill. And now you're trying to force it off. And that's specialized. And now what you're doing is you're looking for that. I don't need just no regular average guy. I need a specialized man. One that God has sent for me. One that knows my struggle and my pain. Now you're looking for an impact wrench. Now you're looking for something that's going to force itself in there. And by all means, going to take that screw off. It might mess up something in the process, but it did what it's supposed to do. That's why women get up on here and say stupid stuff like, I'm looking for a double alpha. They're looking for a man because they know they done messed up. They're looking for a man to essentially drag them with them kicking and screaming, by the way. It'd be one thing if it's like, man, I don't know how to get out of this. All I can do is give you my hand, pull me out. No, they're kicking and screaming. And then 10 years down the road, they'll be like, you know what? I hated him for the first 10 years of marriage, but he just kept on loving me. And now I love him more than anything. I would never leave him. They neglect to mention within those 10 years of marriage that they hated him. They was out here spending all this money, messing around with guys, trashing them on, talking about him like a dog on the internet, all that stuff. And then because he stuck around, all of a sudden he's a good guy. No, men are saying, listen, if my stuff is not good enough for you, I'm not going to sit up here and keep on trying to twist anything off. My tool is not for you. I'm going elsewhere. You ain't even try, you coward. I didn't, because I know I don't fit here. Be blessed.
Why we don't like it. Did you speak Chinese today by any chance? Probably not. You spoke English yesterday, so you'll speak English today and probably tomorrow. Have you ever eaten the same food more than once? Probably. It would be too hard to just change that up every day. So there are a lot of things that you do over and over. And if one of the things you do over and over is change the guy you're sleeping with, you're probably going to keep doing that too. If I know that you have been with one guy for a long time, then in the future you probably will be with one guy for a long time. But if I know that you switch guys often, this is about once every 3.2 days, then in the future, you will probably switch guys often. And again, we don't like that, and we're not arguing about it. We do not want to spend time and money on you if you are just gonna switch guys. It's weird that I have to tell you this. People don't like cheating, and if you switch guys a lot, you're more likely to cheat. Women love to say, trust me. Ignore my behavior. I am wife material. But why would we trust you if you are the least trustworthy kind of person? Cheaters don't say, I'm gonna cheat on you. They say, trust me. Everyone says, trust me. So how do we know who the cheaters are? Well, we have to observe your behavior. This is the behavior cube. This is the church club axis. That's where you choose to spend your time. This is the modest independent axis. That's how you present yourself to the world. And this is the loyalty axis. That's how you've behaved towards men in the past. Number of guys is a big sign. The more you have, the dumber it is to trust you. Not everyone with a high body count will cheat, but more of them will. You can see here that marriage gets less stable as body count goes up. And yeah, sometimes people change, but not usually.
And it's funny that women will see this. They'll see this chart right here. They'll see it. And they'll be like, well, I'm special. I'm unique, so that doesn't apply to me. Okay, maybe one out of 10, but all 10 of you are unique and that's not going to be you? Okay.
This story down here is one time I got to my Motel 6 at 11:30 p.m. and some fairly cute girl saw me in the lobby and chased me to my car because I was once attractive. And she gave me a palm reading and I said, this is most likely a bad idea. And I didn't do it. And that was new for me at the time. That is change, and most people don't. So if I'm going to offer you commitment, which is expensive, I need to know I can trust you, which I judge by looking at your choices, because there's no other way. And if you've made a lot of bad ones, then I at least need to see that you've changed, and that takes more than 3.2 days. So body count is not everything, especially if she's honest about it and she hasn't done it in a while, and also, maybe you're not perfect either. But I will never give any of my time or money to someone who says my past doesn't matter. Because what we did before, we will do again, and the more you do it, the less you're likely to stop. So the past doesn't just disappear. And today will be the past. So today doesn't matter? My behavior doesn't matter? Ignore my behavior? I'm gonna be here, but treat me like I'm here? No one wants to buy a ring for someone who says, don't judge my behavior. Because you don't have to say that unless you know it's bad. That's why any variation of my choices don't matter is one of the biggest red flags there is.
And you also have to think about them and the way they act, the way they present themselves in real time, kind of like what he was speaking about. It'd be one thing if we didn't know how you were presenting yourself and how you were acting, but because of social media, because you think that you should be able to do whatever you want to do, you put that out on social media. You put that out there on all your platforms, sticking your tongue out, shaking your behind, so a man knows exactly what type of time you're on. And when he says no thank you the next day after going on a date with you, all of a sudden you're upset. But you really only have yourself to blame.
Also, nose rings and whatever this is.
Are y'all just that stupid?
My choices don't matter is the same thing as I am the table. It means I get what I want and shut up about what you want. I'm here, aren't I? My choices don't matter comes in many forms. It might sound like my past doesn't matter. It could be what's the difference between one guy and 100. It could be what I wear doesn't define me. That's what these girls said. Just because I dress this way doesn't mean I'm not wife material, even though dressing this way leads to attention, and attention leads to temptation, and no one is immune to temptation, it's just a matter of chance. And you know all that, and you chose to dress this way, and your choices define you. In other words, just because I behave this way doesn't mean I behave this way. That's why she's got deception eyes, and you don't have to listen to that. If you are a younger guy with less experience, you've probably been told all your life to just be nice, just be yourself, and society says, girls are nice and you have to be nice to them, otherwise you're being controlling, and that can be confusing because it doesn't feel like you're being abusive, it feels like you're being abused, because sometimes you are. Some women will just lie to you to see if you're smart enough to catch them lying, and if you're not, then they don't like you. They will do things you should not be okay with and then tell you to be okay with them, like this, trust me. So these girls said dressing like this doesn't mean they're not wife material, but the more skin they show and the more often they go out, the more attention they'll get, and the more they drink, the less they'll resist it, and so the chances of something bad happening get higher and higher. And then they say, just because I'm maximizing the chances of bad behavior doesn't mean I'm not wife material, even though wife material is someone who minimizes the chances of bad behavior. So you see what I mean over here. There's her visible behavior, which is easy to judge, and then there's this secret, cloudy, trust me, in the mystery zone.
And what's interesting is that you're essentially paying $30,000 to $50,000 to protect something that is, honestly and truly, it's very hard to protect it. It's not easily protectable. These women don't want to be protected unless they want to be protected. And that's when they've run their mouth too much and they're in trouble and they're on the verge of getting their teeth knocked out. That's when you come in to get your teeth knocked out. And when you get your teeth knocked out, they're going to leave and try to find a man that they think won't get his teeth knocked out. And when he does, they'll continue the same cycle. And it'll be all because they decided, like he was saying, to dress like they want to dress, get the attention that they want to get, mess around with whoever they want to mess around with, make all these dumb decisions, knowing and thinking that they're going to have a man next to them. They're never going to change.
I can do all the bad things and still be good. Ignore my behavior. And this girl said, 1 guy, 100 guys, what does it matter? Well, what matters is I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be guy number 99 buying you flowers 3.2 days before guy number 100 shows up. So look out for my choices don't matter. I didn't do what I did. It doesn't mean what it means. Trust my words, not my actions. That is only a test. And if you don't trust her, she'll say this.
Are y'all just that stupid?
But if you do trust her, she'll say this.
Are y'all just that stupid?
So don't trust someone in the bad cube. Just find someone in the good cube.
And once again, you'll be like, well, how do you know that they're going to call you stupid and they're going to clown you? Again, social media for men has been a godsend. You can see what the woman is thinking, doing, where she's going to be, her next move in real time. They're going to do it that evening, and then later on that night, they're going to be on Instagram or TikTok bragging about it. And when a man cancels the date after he saw your stupid TikTok, you're going to be wondering why.
So why do men no longer come up to women? I asked this in a TikTok last week, and it got so many comments, especially from men. And I just want to preface this with, this was no shade to men. This post was no shade to men, and neither is this one. I was just genuinely curious and asking. I love men, I think they're awesome, and I think that they're a little confused right now. But most of the responses said something like, we were told not to go up to you guys, and we were told that you want to be left alone, and you just want your own space, and you don't want us approaching you. Which for some women, that can absolutely be true, but I love meeting people in person, and I just think that it takes a confident person to go up to someone when you see them in person, and I think it's a really cool way to meet people rather than meeting people online. Men were also saying things like they were called creeps and weirdos, and they don't want to be called that. It's not a pleasant experience. But I will say that it has to do with how you approach a woman. Like, for example, myself and my friends have had men come up to us with a really, really intense energy, like a very in-your-face energy, and they're really nervous and they're kind of scattered and they're very pushy or weird, and their energy is just off. And one of the most attractive things to a woman is emotional intelligence, and that shows within like the first few seconds of meeting someone when they introduce themselves to you. So if you're gonna go up to a woman, just like take a calm, deep breath. If you see a woman working on her laptop or something at a cafe, you can go up to her and be like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I thought you were really beautiful and you seem interesting. I would love to get to know you more if you're interested. And then slipping her your number on a napkin or something, you know? Like just coming up to women with a calm energy and not giving off this like needy energy or this like pushy energy. I think that is what women don't like. I think it's really sweet and cute to be approached in person, and I know that there's a lot of women like me. There's probably some women out there who don't want to be approached, and that's fine, and it's hard to tell who's who. But I think you can tell when you go up to a girl kind of right away if she'd be interested or not based on her body language, and just be calm and natural and don't overthink it. You know, I know that's easier said than done. I've only gone up to a man once in my whole life, but I think that might help. I don't know, I think I'm just someone who's very interested in people interacting with each other and having experiences and building community. And I think the world is growing more and more introverted and people are on their phones more. And I just think it's beautiful to meet people out and in person. And I just don't want to lose that as a humanity.
You have to be open to it, and you have to learn the signs of being open. There's a lot of men out there that would love to get to know you, that think you're beautiful. But once women get out in the open space and a man tries to approach them, they're terrible at seeming approachable.
I have noticed that 99% of women that have kids tell me not to have kids, and 99% of the people that I know are married tell me not to get married. So don't shoot the mess. This is just an observation. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just repeating what I've been told.
I just went out on such a second date with a 31-year-old man that I have to get on the internet and scream about it. So at the end of our first date, everything was fine. Like, it wasn't a bad date, but it wasn't a great date either. I think he had a nice time. He invited me back to his place and I said, no, thank you. It was fine, but I just didn't want to go to his house. I had things to do, and, it was a little bit much for me for a date that was just fine. He kind of tried to kiss me, and I gave him my cheek, which we'll come back to. And we said goodbye, and then that was that. And he reaches out for a second date, and I was like, you know what? It wasn't a bad date, so I'll go for it. I'll give him another shot. See if we connect a little bit more this time. So we decided to go to an arcade bar, and we get there, and the first game we get to is air hockey. And I'm like, oh, fun. This is like a fun game, kind of competitive, not too hard. And we're playing, but it's like not super easy to talk over air hockey, right? And so we're not really talking much, but we're playing, we're laughing, we have a good time. The game ends, and he comes over, bear hugs me, kind of pins my arms to my sides a little bit, and just plants one on me. And I was like, oh,
a little much considering I wouldn't kiss you after the first date and we haven't really talked yet on this one, but okay, I guess if you need a little rom-com moment. A little weird, but we just got here, so.
You don't think that he really actually likes you? I understand where you're coming from, but sometimes it is confusing when a woman says, I love a man that takes charge, and why are you asking? And then there's some women that say, you need to be asking, consent is important to me. I get it, but I don't know, man. I just feel like sometimes you guys, you nitpick every single part of the date instead of just relaxing and having fun. I mean, you could say, oh, I appreciate that, but can we slow down a little bit? You know what I mean? Hey, it seems like you really like me, but can we slow down just a little bit, right? Instead of getting online and talking to us, you should be saying that stuff to him, but go ahead.
What am I going to do except for see it through? So we, play a couple more games, a little pinball, a little, shooting game. Some Pac-Man, which he is very, very involved in, very invested. He clearly has played a lot before, kicked my ass, good for him. And so we're mostly just talking about the games and laughing. It was a fine time. And so then we go over to Connect 4 and I'm like, oh great, we'll get to chit chat a little bit, get to know each other a little bit better. So we play the first game, I kick his ass. And we play the second game and I'm like, okay. And I start chit-chatting, how was the last couple weeks? What have you been up to? And I start telling him a story and he beats me. The game went on for a little while. He beats me. And I was like, all right, best 2 out of 3. And he goes, okay, for this one, I want you to not talk. I want you to not talk because I think that you need to focus more. Cause you really just didn't do so well that game. And I think as soon as you started talking, you started not doing as well. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, I think that you should maybe just stay quiet for this one. And I said, oh, would you rather see me win than hear my story? Hello? What? And he goes, well, I just want you to be more competitive. It's more fun for me. I was like, okay, all right. So
he's actually talking trash. You could say something back that's a little bit okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna beat you, and then afterwards you ain't gonna hear the last of me. So go ahead and slide it over here. You about to get it.
I sit quietly for the next game like a good girl, I guess. And, we go back and forth for a while and he wins. Clearly he needed it. And he goes, see how much better that was whenever you were quiet? You played a lot better that round. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, well, everyone says the best part of the dates is when you don't talk, right? And he's like, oh, well, yeah, I don't know about that. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, anyway. And so, I get up and he's like, you and I go for a walk? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he goes to hug me and I kind of turn my head and he grabs my face and turns my head back to kiss me. He made me kiss him twice. And I'm like, okay, that was wild. I can't believe that's happening, but
I'm starting not to believe you. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you didn't want it. That's not what I'm contesting. What I'm contesting is your communication with him. That's what I'm contesting. I'm starting to think that you believe your signs of disgust were as clear now that you're saying it to him in the moment as you're telling us now on the video. I don't believe you.
Okay. And so then we go for a short little walk where he proceeds to interrupt everything that I say. And I'm like, man, I hate this. I'm ready for this one to be over. And, we just so happened to walk past his car and he's like, oh, well, come on. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, let's go back to my place. And I said, no. And he's like, oh, sure, yeah, come back to my place and I'll give you a ride home. And I said, no, thank you. And he goes, well, why not? I'm like, I have some stuff to do. He's like, well, why? I'm like, I just have things that I need to get done. He's like, what, do you have a rule or something? He literally says this. I'm not exaggerating. Oh, come on. What, do you have a rule or something? You don't go, what? And I was like, I don't know, I guess. He's like, what? You've never gone home with a guy on the first or second date? And I'm like, not really.
They're not good for each other. She's not very good in her communication. She's very nice, is what it is. Not a problem, I would say, but the personalities don't mesh. He's looking to, I would say, being fair, to express himself. Maybe first couple of dates, 2 or 3 dates. I think he really likes the girl, and she's not really showing signs of like, I really don't clearly like him back, or else she would have like kind of dug her foot in the ground and been like, well, you know, I really don't go out on, I don't really go home with somebody on the first date. That's just something that I like to do. I like to get to know the person first and know I do this for all guys, and I like to get to know them. So I'm not one to sleep with other guys and just, you know, mess around like that. So yeah, that's my rule, you know. Sorry if it offends you, but that's kind of how I do it. I don't want to just be with anybody, and he'll probably respect that. Most men will respect that. If he doesn't, then that's not the guy for you, and you'll know pretty quickly within 2 dates here. You really could have known within the first date, but within 2 dates here, hey, I'm gonna go back the other way. I'm gonna see you later. Have a good night.
No. And he goes, well, how long is it going to be? How long does it take then? What's the rule? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, how long? What do we got to do? What? I'm like, oh my God. I literally cannot. Are you me? And he's trying to hug me, and I'm like, oh, be gone. I'm like, well, I gotta go. I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, thank you. Ugh.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think you need to be a little bit clearer in your communication based on the way you're telling the story. I'm not saying that he was right in what he did and that I agree with it, but I just think you wait until you get totally disgusted and fed up to set a boundary, to say, no, this is where I am, this is what I am, this is what I'm doing. And that's the end of that.
Hot take is that men should start life in jail and earn their way out.
Quick question. Who exactly is going to be enforcing that? Just curious.
People may think that being single and talking about dating is my personality, and I understand why you would think that, because I'm living it right now. I wanna not live it, okay? I don't want to be doing this and talking like this all the time, but here I am. Now, to the people that are being rude about it, here's one thing that I need you to know about me. I would still be yapping and having fire points and good conversations and, you know, great storytelling skills if I had a boyfriend, if I had a husband. So don't get it twisted. That is not my personality. I know that once I do get a boyfriend or I'm dating, whatever, more things to talk about. Okay, I'm not worried about it. I'm not that busy like, oh my God, what's going to happen when I have a boyfriend? No, I'm getting over that. I got over it when I was dating and it was fine. That's called being a human. We evolve, right? How about the creators that you follow and you follow them for one certain reason and then they literally don't ever get out of that hole because they don't know how to and they're scared to because they don't know how to be regular people. That won't be me. I'll tell you that for free, okay? Because I know that the person I am, I will always have something to yap about, always have something to talk about, and I will always stay true to myself. And as long as I am being real with my feelings and in my thoughts, I will have a following of some sort. Because that's what I crave as a viewer, as a social media user. I want more of that. I want more of people being real for once, okay? So, yeah, no, I'm not worried about it. Yeah, it's my identity right now because it's eating me alive, okay, for certain reasons. And that's just how the cookie crumbles. We go through ups and downs. We have different emotions. We have different feelings. We have good days. We have bad days. And let's normalize it. I don't know. Let me just, like, talk very emo one day and then the next day be bad. Then the next day I'm feeling better with it all, you know, and we're moving past things and we're hurting, but we're feeling and we're just evolving. We're being humans because I'm a human on a social media app.
Let's not get it twisted. So yeah, if you see a lot of videos back to back to back where I'm about the same thing, it's because I'm living it and that's how I'm feeling and that's what I'm going through.
Okay, so I'm not giving dating advice. I'm just observing the dating scene. And this is not something that is necessarily applicable across the board. Very few things rarely are, but this specific dating dynamic that I have seen, that I have sort of experienced, but not really, and then also a lot of people have conversations about, is the woman who's in her mid to late 20s dating a guy in his late 20s, early 30s. She thinks that because he is close to 30 that he's ready to settle down. And because he might do boyfriend things like take her out for dinner, maybe even talk about wanting to settle down, wanting a family. And honestly, most men just say this, but just because they say it doesn't mean that they necessarily want that with you, okay? So never assume that that is the case, especially if the guy is in his early 30s. And because this guy is, just a little bit more financially liquid than a guy that's in his early 20s, it looks like he's moving in the direction of settling down right now. But the thing about your late 20s, early 30s for people of all genders is that if you are someone that's looking to build a career, or you are kind of like on a specific trajectory in your career, it's usually a very crucial time because maybe you've already been at university, you've had a few years of work experience, you've maybe tried a few different jobs or positions, and you might have like a pretty decent resume or network and set of experiences that you can build off on for the next phase of your life, okay? And what women especially don't usually think about, because they're conditioned very differently to men, is understanding that it takes energy to work on your career and to be in a healthy relationship, or to just date in general, okay? And you usually as a woman are going to be giving up so much more of your emotional energy, especially, and also risking your physical health when you are dating a man. This isn't like a good or a bad thing, this is just how it is, okay? So recognize the situation at hand and then move accordingly. And you have a limited amount of energy, okay? As a woman, as a person, you do not have an endless amount of energy to just give. And when you're younger as a woman, this is usually preyed upon and you can get into people-pleasing tendencies and not know what your boundaries are and just assume because you love someone, because you care about someone, that you're just gonna make yourself available to them all the time. If on top of that, you also are looking to be in a serious or committed relationship, you might think the more energy that you give a man, the more likely he's going to see your value and want to commit to you or realize that you're wifey material. But men are just built and conditioned in a way where they are much more rational about how much energy they do and don't have to dedicate to certain things in their lives. And because men for way more generations than women have been conditioned to think about whether they can provide, have their financial status tied to their self-worth, have their career trajectory directly affect their personal decision making, a lot of men at any age, but especially in this particular age bracket, like late 20s, early 30s, they are going through a very serious shift in their career and in their priorities. And they might not necessarily be aware of the fact that for them to be in the type of committed relationship that they imagine, with the type of woman that they imagine, they are just in reality not there yet. That's maybe something that they could achieve when they're 35 in a few years if they are smart about the moves that they make in their career. But this early 30s phase is peak delusion for a lot of men because they are not yet at a stable place in their career, which is okay. That's just how things play out. Time needs to pass, more experience needs to be garnered. It's okay. They don't feel stable in their finances, yet they want to be with their dream girl, but they don't think they can afford her. On some level, they know they're not financially ready for that. But men can't be alone, so they still want to date, they still want to be around, and a lot of them are very conflicted between wanting to still be a playboy and thinking that they have to be settling down. And the guy friends that I know, some of them are aware of this and others are not. And I tell them, you can just lean into being a playboy if that's what you have the capacity for. Don't pretend
that you want something that you are not actually able to provide for someone. Like, leave women who actually want to be in a serious relationship alone if that's not what you actually want and just what you think you want, okay? Because there are other women out there who are happy to just have something casual and it not be that serious. But again, like, a lot of men have been conditioned to seek relationships that have this like unequal balance of power, or they only want to hook up with women who they maybe don't respect that much or wouldn't be able to see as a long-term partner, but they also want to date someone that's their equal, but they're not like aware and realistic about who their equal actually is. So if you're a woman, I would suggest that if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you are looking to settle down, only date men that seem confident and stable in their financial position. And I don't necessarily mean this in terms of like, because he's going to pay for everything. Like, everyone's relationship can divide finances however they want, but like a man's relationship to his status, to his career, like, you just can't be in a healthy relationship with anyone that's stingy with their time or with their effort. And a lot of the times men in this transition period of their life are thinking and calculating very closely, like how much money they're willing to spend on dating and relationships, how much money they need to be saving for the future. You know, there are some high earning men in this age bracket, but that's definitely an exception. So I'm not talking about exceptions. I'm just saying generally in this specific dynamic, if you are a woman in your late 20s and early 30s on the receiving end of this kind of behavior, don't tolerate mistreatment and disrespect from a guy who says he wants to settle down if you want to settle down. Like, literally ask yourself if you would be okay with this guy being the father of your children. Does he seem capable of doing that in spite of the fact that he can't even respect you, who would be the potential mother of his children? Like, you need to ask yourself this question. And then if you're a guy going through this, just be honest with yourself about where you're at in your career and what you want and are willing to give in your relationships, and then date accordingly, instead of deluding yourself into thinking that you have to want something that you think society requires of you, or that you're not a man if you don't have like a committed relationship, even though you're not ready for one. Like, it's better to just be honest and upfront and ensure that you are having like consensual, compatible, healthily communicated relationships than to mess people around, because that karma will come back to you tenfold, okay? Like, you're only playing yourself at the end of the day when you move in a way that is like disrespectful and not authentic. So I could talk about this particular dynamic all day, because
I would say I get where you're coming from, but just honestly and truly to me said a bunch of nothing. What you guys like to do is wait for the man, as Kevin Samuel said, to cross the finish line, and you'll take the first one. What men are actually looking for, they're not really all that confused. What they're looking for is a woman that will see them come in 20th and say, hey, I saw you out there. Great job. You think so? Yeah. I think maybe if you tweak this or do this, next time you'll be top 10 easily. Well, how do you know? Well, I've been running and doing my own thing, and so I know a little bit about races. Really? Yeah. I can help you if you want. You do that for me? Yeah. I could just, why don't we get together? Here's my information. Why don't we get together and I can help you out? But it's gonna cost you something. You gotta pay me a little bit. Well, how much? Well, we'll talk about that later. But just hit me up and we'll work something out. The man, a lot of times in that situation, and this is just an analogy, the man a lot of times will say, okay, I'm going to pursue that because that seems like a good lead. But a man that comes in first and he's got a woman coming up to him and said, hey, I saw you. I really like the way you ran that race. Oh, okay. What specifically did you like about it? Well, I like that you won. And so now he knows that you don't really know much about what he's got going on. You just like the fact that he came in number one, right? And then to add on top of it, you say to him, well, I really like the fact that you won, and why don't we get together and you take me out, and I talk about how much it would be good for you to kind of take me out and be seen with me as a number one. I can really bolster and improve your image And he's like, what kind of improvement do I need? I just won. I'm number one. It's not really going to get much better. Yeah. But you know, just my being around you is going to really bolster your image of number one. It's going to take you to like 1A. He's like, not likely, but for what I'm going to give being with you, I'll just figure out how to get to 1A myself, and I'll figure out how to climb myself. I've already done this. I've already won, so I really don't need you. So you guys got to figure out where you fit in a man's life. You're sitting up here saying that men don't know what they want. They do, right? What y'all are doing is waiting at the end of the tunnel, the finish line. And when a man says, no, I'm not going to do it, then all of a sudden you're saying, well, men don't really know what they want. They want to be a player. They want to do this. No, they do know what they want. They know they don't want somebody that doesn't really take them seriously. They know they don't want somebody that is only looking at them for what they can provide as a wallet. They know they don't want that. And so they know, because what society told them, okay, this is the general direction that I need to be going. And then after maybe a few years, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. After another few years, this is how I'm supposed to be doing it. This is how long I'm supposed to be doing it. And once that starts to click, it's usually around 35 or 40, honestly. And they get to rolling. And it's usually around that time, y'all get to being in their ear talking about, hey, why don't you settle down with me? Why don't you take me out? And the man is like, absolutely not. Where were you at? You should have been like that other woman back at the front of the race before the race even started, saying, hey man, I've been following your career. I think you can do it. And then at the end of the race, even though you got 20th, hey, you did a great job. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. You did a great job. I can show you how to tweak a couple of things. It's really easy. Why don't you come over and we can talk about it? All right. It's inviting, it's encouraging, it's loving, it's a nourishing environment, which is what a lot of women are supposed to be doing, but they're not. They just get online and talk about how men are trash, how men ain't doing what they're supposed to do, how men are lying to women, how men are not protecting and providing for women like you. So no, a man doesn't want that. But what a man does want is a woman that's going to be with him from start to finish. And that don't necessarily mean you was there at the beginning, but in most situations and cases, don't be there at the end thinking that you of some value to him.